when I was a kid, and the first music that I ever bought. I'm actually sad to say it was a record. And I remember buying cassettes. How many people, just out of curiosity, how many people here bought their first piece of music on a record or a cassette? All right. Ooh, any 8-track people? All right. CD. A bunch of people. Anybody's first music purchase happen on a phone? Right? It won't be too long before the whole audience will only be with people who have bought their first piece of music on a phone. This device is changing everything. Right? My first record was Rush, Moving Pictures. Again, dating me. Right? I remember standing in line to buy tickets. I camped out overnight to get tickets for the first Monsters of Rock concert. Right? Overnight, stood in line for hours. Right? Fast forward, groups like Pearl Jam and the Grateful Dead sell out stadiums in minutes because it's all at the click of a button. Right? Think about that. When we were standing in line as kids to go buy a ticket, it took more time to go into the store, pay for the ticket, print it out, and leave than it does to sell out a whole stadium today. Right? In fact, today, we touch a button and we expect a notification to tell us about the concert. Right? We used to have to listen to the radio for hours to get the summer tour schedule. Today, we expect somebody to tell us about it, when we want it, how we want it. It's changed everything. It's the fastest adoption of a mass communication technology the world has ever seen. Chewing gum. Chewing gum sales are down 11% year over year. Sweets as a category is up 14%. Why do we care about this? Well, ask yourself why. The next time you go into the grocery store, the next time you go into the supermarket, take a look at what people are doing in line when they're waiting to check out. They're flipping through their phone. They're not throwing that extra pack of gum into their basket. It just doesn't happen anymore. I'm quite sure, I've never met him, but I'm quite sure Steve Jobs didn't wake up one morning and decide to disrupt chewing gum when he invented the iPhone. It's not what happened. It's fundamentally changing everything. And it's created a complete reset of expectations. As consumers, we want choice. We want convenience. We want those things everywhere we are. We want everything to be connected. And we expect somebody to put it literally in the palm of our hand, right at our fingertips. Right? We've lost our patience altogether. We have none. As marketers, this creates a huge burden. Right? We have to figure out how to get through all that noise, how to get through all the clutter, and put it at the palms of the hands of our customers. Right? It's almost like we have to read their minds. That's a huge burden to carry around with us as a marketer. Right? Nobody knows this better than Live Nation. Technology completely transformed, this technology completely transformed the live events industry. And they adapted. And they've seen huge growth. And today they are the world's largest concert promoters. Just last year, they connected 59 million people to 23,000 events for 2,700 artists. And today, we have Julia Heiser, the Senior Vice President of Digital from Live Nation, to talk to us about how she's handling these problems. Julia.
Thank you, David. Hi. The music industry. There we go. The music industry, there is no doubt the rapid rise of technology and the advent of the always-on consumer has changed the music industry drastically. I mean, just with the advent of iTunes and streaming, from the beginning of Napster, It's definitely impacted artist revenue streams, making performing live really the biggest piece of the pie for the artist. But performing live is so much more than that. It's that once-in-a-lifetime experience where that fan connects with the artist, where the artist connects with the fan. It's just something that can't be replicated. At Live Nation, we know who our fans are. We actually have the world's largest concert-goer database, over 80 million fans in North America alone, that my team works with every day to sell tickets, and our sponsorship team leverages every day to connect the world's biggest brands with the world's biggest music fans. Our identity crisis is not who our fan is, but it's how to reach them in this world, this always-on, multi-device world. Technology has also changed how we market to these fans. Yes, radio and TV has always been very important. But outside of word of mouth, which is the #1 way our consumers are finding out about shows, they are telling us that paid digital is the most important. 75% of concert goers say they found out about a show through paid digital, through email, through web, through the app, through social. Thus, we've changed our marketing strategy. In just the last couple years, we've adapted from just 20% of our advertising budgets being dedicated to digital to over 40%. But with this change to digital, we made some big investments in cookie-based technologies. We bought it all. We've got the global DMP and the DSP and the SSP and everything on the LumaScape. But as our consumer goes more mobile, we've had a lot of holes in our cookie-based strategy. It really just hasn't helped us understand how we can market to them on these mobile devices and how it's affecting their purchases. Here's a few stats. 84% of concert goers have a smartphone. Have you been to a show lately? You look around, there's not lighters in the air, there's smartphones in the air. Everybody's on their device. 93% of concert goers search for tickets on their smartphone. There's a lot of options. People are searching for prices, searching different places. There used to be one place to buy. Now there's a lot. And this is key. Of concert goers who first received a promotional message on their smartphone, 66% returned to desktop to purchase. This is the key. This was the problem we are trying to solve. Last year in Q4, for the first time, Live Nation's mobile web traffic exceeded desktop traffic, but yet 82% of our tickets are still purchased on desktop. So we're in a world where we know our consumers are mobile. They're searching for events. They want to find out about them first. We need to reach them in the place they are. But yet, how do we tie that story back to desktop? And this is why we proactively found Atlas and people-based marketing. So we can start to tie this story, because the cookie just isn't cutting it anymore. It doesn't work cross-device. We don't know who you are on different devices. And it doesn't work on a lot of mobile phones. So I'm going to pass it over to David to dive a little bit more into people-based marketing.
Let's get a little geeky for just one quick second. Let's start to understand why some of this stuff is happening. The reality is that there's 3 trends that are turning our whole world upside down, making all the technologies and all the investments that we've done for the last 10 years completely ineffective. Every single company on the planet in the next 2 years will have to deal with the consumer and the mobile device. And if you don't make those changes, one of your competitors will. It's simple. The 3 trends are, the first one is the proliferation of the phone. Right? I just know me personally, I traveled halfway across the world. I brought 4 with me. Right? 4 with me. How many people here brought 2 or more? Show of hands. 3, 4, right? Look, we're at the coolest, trendiest, hippest week of the year for our industry. And when it's that ubiquitous, this stuff isn't trendy anymore, right? It's just everywhere, and it's everything that the consumer is doing, right? 20 years ago, there were 80 million phones anywhere on the planet. Today, there are 5.2 billion, right? These numbers are massive. Second thing, expansion of browsers. There's just, like everything, there's just more choices. Right? Now you take those browsers and you multiply it by the number of devices, and the problem becomes exponential. And then lastly, the Internet of Things. Right? This is a word that we hear a lot about, and here's where its impact is. Just corporate technologies, just companies. By the year 2019, it's estimated that companies will utilize 9 billion connected devices. And that doesn't include any of our consumer things. Doesn't include my Nest thermostat. Doesn't include your iPhone watch. Right? This problem is hard. And we're spending more time. We're creating more time on these devices. Right? Sitting and actively doing something like watching TV and flipping through your phone, there's an active act in that moment, and you're doing two different things. The television is becoming passive. The mobile device is becoming active. In fact, last year, we saw an inflection point. For the first time last year, we spent more time on our cell phones than we did watching television. Think about that. In the 20 or so years before, the World Wide Web and your laptop didn't accomplish that. Right? The last time we saw a sea change of this magnitude was in the late 1950s, when television passed radio as the dominant form of mass media communication. Think about that. It changed every single thing about our lives. It changed pop culture. It redefined music. It redefined news. Everything that we do. And we can look back to this history for some clues about the future. Right? Take a look at what Procter & Gamble did right after the television came out. They figured out that the person behind the screen was what was important. And they brought the soap opera to television. And think about the impact that that has had since then, and how it's changed everything about marketing, from creative to the way we sell products, to the messages. Everybody in this room, that thing had a profound impact upon. And so, as we think about companies who are doing these strategies, and we think about, sorry, I'm having a little, there we go. As we think about how we're going to solve this problem, we look to the person behind the screen, the actual real person. The answer to how we solve this problem is you, and it's me. It's getting to a real person. So when you're thinking about your creative strategies, you're thinking about your campaign execution, you have to think about how you're going to get to the actual real person. And what are the channels, and what are the tools you're going to use to unlock the real people behind the screen. So I'm going to turn this over to Julia now to talk through exactly how she does it.
Thank you. So let's talk about a real-world example. We onboarded Atlas in March. We had the honor of our first campaign being the launch of Madonna's global tour. No stranger to being the first at things, this was a really exciting moment for us. When we planned Madonna's media planning and buying, we really look at data to help us inform our strategies. We look at who the past purchasers are, who her fans are, who's following her on Instagram, what's the search demand in the marketplace. And in working with Madonna's management team, we identified a very mobile-first strategy. In fact, when we look at the Atlas reporting after this campaign, 93% of our impressions ended up being served on mobile, which would have left us some very gaping holes in our attribution strategy. Remember, most of these tickets were sold on desktop, but we want to reach them on mobile. Couple campaigns that really stood out. Instagram. Live Nation, you could say we were like a virgin to running sponsored Instagram stories. Sorry, I had to do that. A historically non-clickable ad unit was very difficult for us in a very DR-focused e-commerce world. How are we going to attribute what someone saw on Instagram back to a sale? but with Atlas, and I believe this was Atlas's first Instagram tracked campaign. We launched the tour with a message from Madonna's Instagram account 1 week prior to tickets going on sale. Then we launched pre-sales and on-sales, variety of channels and strategies in digital, and we're able to tie back both on an even credit and a last touch attribution how many people saw this ad and it drove them to purchase, actually showing us an ROI positive campaign. Grindr is another great example. This sassy male dating website, Madonna had actually partnered with to launch her album. So we thought, how can we carry this over and really give fans what they're looking for? This was another 100% app-focused campaign where cookie-based technology would have fallen short. We launched broadcast messages and banner ads, and we're able to track this back to being one of the top performing channels across all the strategies we ran in digital. When we looked at our entire campaign, and we looked at how would we have attributed sales based on a cookie-based methodology and a people-based methodology, we found an increase of 66% conversions. These are tickets we would have not been able to understand were driven by the strategies we're going into mobile. And this is really the problem we are solving. We know we need to go mobile. But when we looked at static reporting at the end of the day and looked at what really drove those ticket sales, we had a really hard time making that connection from mobile to desktop. So this really is the solution for us. I'm gonna hand it back to Dave.
Thank you very much. All right. We've all sat in many of these sessions. I've sat in a lot of these this week. And I always think to myself, how am I going to apply these things in my daily life? Right? What am I going to do? What am I going to bring back? What are going to be my 3 takeaways? So just to do a quick summary, we're in a mobile-first world. The technologies we've been using for the last decade simply don't work. They overrepresent reach. So you think you've had a campaign that's hit 100 people, you've really reached 58. They underrepresent frequency to the tune of 141%. So if you spent all that time building out a story, creating a strategy, and you think you want to put this string together with somebody, say, 10 times over the course of a week, you're really pounding them over the head 24 times. We see egregious cases where sometimes a quarter, a third of the budget is to people that you've hit 20 or 50 times a day. Let's not even get into targeting. Nielsen tells us that when we begin to combine targeting, just simple things, like combinations of age groups and gender, we get it right about a third of the time. Right? This mobile-first world is affecting everything. 40% of all of the transactions that are happening on the web, on your laptop, start on a different device. That's an average. Right? In Julie's case, it's a lot higher. Second, people-based marketing is the future. People-based marketing is the future. Not cookies, not probabilities, not guesswork. It's the actual real people. And we should demand this of our own strategies and of all of the vendors that we work with and all of the channels. Who are the real people that sit behind the screens? And lastly, remember 3 words: accuracy, persistence, and scale. Think about, on all of your strategies and all of the technologies, how accurate are they, how persistent are they, and what is the scale of the real people behind them. And don't forget to buy Madonna tickets.
While still available, they're going very fast. Hey, Dave, let's close this out with a little rapid fire.
Sure.
If you could bring any musician back from the dead, who would it be?
Oh, that's easy. Jerry Garcia. I heard a little rumor backstage. Yes. How many concerts did you go see last year?
Probably about 40 to 50. I have an amazing job.
Holy cow.
Okay, what's your favorite Madonna song?
Borderline.
Good one.
What are you doing later tonight?
Going to the gutter bar. What time are you going?
2 a.m.?
See you there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.